Hi guys. I know it's been a long time, I'm sorry, but welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the inner child, and because this was the next portion of my journey, my really deep dive to healing yourself and coming home to self, the inner child is one of the biggest things that really healed my body. Being able to work with her and understand that level of depth within me was the coolest thing, and I'll get into that. So one of the biggest things with your inner child, and the reason I started my series with safety, is because safety really is the foundation of your healing journey. And that's because when you start to work with your inner child, they're not going to feel safe to show up or to talk about or bring up those emotions or heavy traumas or things within your body that need to surface unless they trust you and feel safe with you. So things like creating healthy boundaries and being consistent with yourself and learning to trust yourself is so crucial. Because picture this. If you were speaking to a little kid, right? And you were asking them to talk about their deepest, darkest secrets and their traumas and their emotions, they would want to talk to somebody that they trust. And trust comes from consistency and showing up for them and loving them and being there for them, right? So, like myself, I went my entire life abandoning myself. I abandoned myself through staying in relationships that were no longer serving me, that I knew deep down weren't serving me anymore. I abandoned myself in people pleasing. I would say yes when I wanted to say no, or I would go above and beyond for other people and never have enough energy for myself. I abandoned myself through alcohol. I drank my problems away instead of feeling them and facing them head on. I numbed my emotions, and so I silenced myself. Let's see, I abandoned myself in so many different ways, and it wasn't until I started to be there for myself and show up for myself that things started to really move, energy started to move. So when I started to create healthy boundaries, I started to set healthy boundaries with my family. I started to cut off certain people in my life. I started to say no when I wanted to say no consistently. I started to let my body know that it was okay to feel emotions, and I started to do things that allowed me to show up for myself fully. So once I started to do that, and once I started to dive into inner child work, it took a lot of patience. Patience because an inner child, a younger you, version of you that had been abandoned and not treated very well their entire life because of survival. That's okay. It's okay that you did that, but we're changing it now, right? We did those things because of survival. It's gonna take them a while to trust you again. So be patient with yourself when you start to work with your inner child, because it's not gonna happen right away. It's not gonna be like, oh my God, here's my inner child. Oh, we're such a team. Like, yeah. But once you do, it's amazing. So my first experience with my inner child was really cool. I did mostly inner child meditations, and they were very visual. I would, excuse me, I would basically sit with my body in meditation, and I would use my mind's eye, and I created this safe sanctuary within my mind's eye. And for a woman, you could do it in your womb space. It's a very safe, healing, amazing space to visualize. I mean, men can have wombs too, hell yeah. But what I did was, in my mind's eye, I created the most safe, beautiful, cozy, safe sanctuary space. Something that, like a living room with really soft couches and a fireplace and really beautiful lighting, and just something you think that your inner child would just adore and feel really safe in. So I created that in my mind's eye, and I went into my safe space. I sat on my little couch, and I called my inner child forward. I said, however you want to show up, I would love to just sit with you and be with you. Maybe hold your hand. And so in meditation, whatever version of that inner child shows up, you allow them to. And for me, it was like an elementary school version of myself. She was very shy at first. She was very, didn't talk a lot, didn't share a lot. And I was basically just, in meditation, I would just sit with them and ask them if they needed anything. And being consistent in that way, you're basically talking to yourself, right? You're giving that inner version of you that had been abandoned so many times throughout your life the love that they have always wanted, they have always needed. So while you're doing that more so and more often, sometimes you can start to ask questions, or ask them, hey, is there anything you want to share with me today? Or, oh, you seem really sad today. What's going on? Is there something that needs to come up? And when you start to feel safe and feel comfortable in this kind of setting, you'll notice that sometimes an old memory shows up, or a memory of something really traumatic shows up, or a person pops into your head, or maybe some physical sensation shows up in your body. And your only job when those things happen are to sit and allow it to happen. You don't judge, you don't force, you don't try and fix it, you don't try and explain it, you don't try and, soothe. You can, be there for them, but just allow whatever's surfacing to surface. It's as simple and as hard as that. Because we've been trained our whole lives to fix and to, cover up pain, or to numb, or whatever the case may be. So in that moment, all you need to do, and your only job, is to allow it to be. And the craziest things start to happen when you are given that space to let it be. Sometimes tears come. Sometimes a really intense emotion surfaces. That's okay. That's actually a beautiful sign. It means your body and your inner child feels safe enough to let that energy move up and out of you. It's moving instead of staying stagnant in your body. Sometimes physical ailments even will start to dissipate and start to lessen because physical ailments are just energy stored in the body, right? So if this energy has been stored for years and years and years and years and years, it'll eventually become painful physically. And so once you start to allow it to unwind and unbound and release, because you're allowing it and you feel safe for it to move out of you, it's like the most beautiful thing in the world. So yeah, just sit with your inner child, man. Make sure that they feel safe, be consistent. Another thing that, while I was starting to work with my inner child, something that was really cool, and a cool reason that tool works, the sanctuary, is because sometimes when you're newly making boundaries or you're newly learning how to say no, when something's happening in real time, like, oh, this doesn't feel good, I need to make a boundary here, or I need to say no here, your body will, tense up and react and want to react. But as soon as you, the new you, the one that loves you and stands up for you, says no or sets a boundary, you can feel your body kind of relax again. Even though I will say, sometimes when you start making new boundaries, it feels so wrong until it feels right. It might feel so wrong because you've always done the opposite. So when you begin to make new boundaries, it's gonna feel really hard. But stick through it and keep going, because you'll notice, especially when you do that inner child work, they're gonna be like, that was awesome, I'm so proud of you. Like, sometimes I would go back into my sanctuary and my meditation after a big boundary setting or a big reactive moment where I didn't necessarily react, I just let it happen. Sometimes when I would go back into that sanctuary, I would see a shift in my inner child. She would be really proud of me, or she'd be a little bit more at ease, or just kind of hanging out and enjoying life. Yeah, it sounds so crazy, but it's so cool. So while you're doing all this stuff, sometimes you go down to your inner sanctuary in meditation and you can invite another version of you, maybe an older child or a younger child, or the child that went through this trauma, or a child that, experienced this, and you can sit with them, because so many versions of you will show up and they all want to just be loved and be cared for, and just know that what they went through, it's okay and they're safe now, and you're not going to let them get hurt anymore. You're not going to, because you're committed now. You're committed to making the younger version of you feel safe. The number one things I would say for someone who's just starting off inner child work is to really make sure that you're not trying to force and you're not pushing. And show up consistently, and know that your inner child's not going to trust you through words alone. They need action. They need consistent action. And sometimes that just means showing up in meditation every day with them, or sometimes that just means saying no, or allowing them to cry, or allowing them to feel anxious or scared or nervous. It's okay to feel those things. Let that child know that they're safe to feel. They're safe to be. That's all inner child work is. Whenever an emotion or anxiety or grief or a heavy emotion comes up in your body, tell yourself, hold yourself, it's okay to feel those feelings. Period. It's okay to feel those feelings. Allow yourself to feel those feelings and watch the magic happen. So that's all today. I love inner child work. It's one of my biggest parts and biggest helps that when I work with people. Coming home to yourself, it's all about allowing yourself and loving yourself and trusting yourself again. So thanks for being here. Bye.